too many things going on, you know? They're like, oh, technology. Yeah. I'm like, well, Bitcoin survived me, so, you know, luckily I have a little help. But other than that, it'd be hard for me to do this, you know?
See what you're getting it done.
We're trying. Yeah. We're getting the live stream going, and we'll have everybody rolling here in a second. Yeah, I think
got a live stream?
Yeah, I do Chula Vista Live Data. And we cover all the government meetings and try to attend events like this for the community. Look up. Gotta go to the internet. That one. Come on, where you at? Not even enough space. I just want to open up the web. Just give me 1 second, everybody. I'm checking the back end. I guess we got San Diego live data with us this morning too, which is fine. I'll turn on the server. And we'll switch. Authentication failed. Okay, we'll just move on. All right, everybody. We are here with John McCann's Coffee with the Mayor, and just bring you guys in here live. Probably get it rolling. I just got some coffee here, so make sure to stay tuned here in the next like half hour. We're going to share this out. We're out here in East Lake. I'll read the place off here in a second. It's like a hotel suites. Yeah, I just can't remember the name offhand. Let me look it up. Let's see, Gmail. So this is the Spring Hill Suites in Chula Vista here in East Lake. And this is a great opportunity to connect with your neighbors and share your thoughts and ask questions about the issues that matter most to you. Our community, upon arrival, you have a chance to write your questions on a note card, and the mayor will answer as many as possible during the event. Also today here we have Chula Vista Police Department, and they'll be answering questions on e-bikes, speeding, traffic safety, and other traffic-related issues. So we'll be looking forward to hearing from CVPD. I didn't bring a tripod today, so I'm just going to be holding it, and I'll switch to GoPro, try to get some other shots. But yeah, we just encourage everybody to come out to events like this. The deputy mayor Cesar Fernandez. He holds events throughout the month, and yeah, we just, like I said, want to thank the mayor for holding an event like this and hearing the people's voice. So we'll go ahead and see what people have to say today. See if we can find a seat over here. Anybody sitting up in the front here with you?
Welcome.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Doing good in yourself?
Doing well, thanks.
Oh, let's see. What can we do here?
I was going to get my wife to join me, but she's like, that's a little too early on Saturday.
You should go watch the recording.
Well, there you go. Yeah. What's your handle?
It's Chula Vista Live Data.
Okay.
So I cover like mainly government and board meetings and
Oh, terrific. All right.
yeah, and so I try to make it to the council members events as well when they hold like community forums. The last one was like 3 days ago or Friday.
Okay.
No, Wednesday night. And that was with District 1 Supervisor Paloma Aguirre, along with D1 representative for our district, Chavez.
Right on.
So-
Keeping the public informed.
Yeah, you know, it's a full-time gig, but
I can imagine.
someone's got to do it. So
Well,
I
good.
got a couple of Brown Act violations going with like San Diego Community Power and wastewater JPA, because we have representation on both those boards.
Yeah.
So I double checked.
Is that like Privacy Act stuff, or what's
Brown Act is open public meeting laws.
Okay.
So like their requirement to give us access to those meetings, and then like anything virtual is new, and there's new rules coming in. So we got
good.
to
I'm glad you stay up on that.
we got to test it and make sure. You know, the Zoom is great, but it also causes issues. So, and I don't want to, like, the goal shouldn't be to sue everybody. You know what I mean?
Just tell them, right?
We'll have them fix it.
Yeah.
You know, there's no drawing awareness. There's fixing the problems because they're legal, issues.
How long have you been in Chula Vista?
Oh, all my life.
Is that right?
Yeah, I grew up, went to Hilltop High School, Hilltop Elementary. So, it's kind of fitting that a local does this.
Yeah,
we
makes
just,
sense, yeah.
I've never had, I rely on KUSI for a long time and all, ABC, NBC, Fox, and I just can't rely on them to cover what I cover because they don't.
Filling in the gaps.
Yeah. They got big financiers, and I'm more like local issues, Like, you can't pay me enough to stay away.
So you stream on YouTube then?
They don't like me on YouTube, I'll be honest, But I'm on Rumble, Twitch, Kick, Facebook. Sometimes I'll be on Instagram and TikTok, just depending.
Do you post videos on the communities on Facebook, or just your own independent?
Both. Yeah, I share local businesses, friends of mine, people that, not to say we have to be in contact, but if I see you're from Chula Vista, 90% of the time I'm going to share your stuff, just to support Chula Vista. When I was growing up, travel and tourism was like coming into schools, and so I was in IT, but I took both. So, I know about bringing people here, and that's kind of what we want to do, is put out a good image and drive the tourism here for, like, the soccer event, the Olympics, we got NASCAR coming,
Yeah, I'm really excited what they're doing in the city. I mean, we're really improving. I really like what the mayor's been doing.
Yeah.
That's all I'm here is just say, hey, everything's looking really good. Hope we keep it up.
Right. And, everybody has personal things that they want to change and things like that, and that's what I'm here to raise. I'm not here to tell you what to say.
Yeah.
It is what it is. Whatever people tell me, that's what gets published.
It's documented.
Yeah. So we do San Diego live data too, and
Oh, wow.
and so we try to cover the county, and then I have other reporters who work with me, and they do the same thing. They just live stream the meetings, and we do Brown Act violation
I think
checks.
San Diego would keep you really busy.
Oh, too busy.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chula Vista is like enough in itself for just me.
Yeah.
I still need probably one more person to cover when I can't make a meeting or they double stack me.
There's been a lot going on in San Diego, that city.
Oh yeah, they have hundreds of meetings, like hundreds, and so some of the things that people think is you think it's a smaller meeting, right? But some of those smaller meetings have bigger repercussions.
Right.
And so nobody really checks them. And so we're starting to check them now, and there's issues.
Is that right?
Yeah, and so that's that's the biggest thing, is nobody's really done this. And so now that we have people doing it, slowly by slowly, things are getting fixed.
Independent reporting. I mean, it's getting so good.
Oh, yeah.
And then on like X and stuff, where you can get
Right.
just raw information.
Yeah.
It's challenging, right? Because you don't know what to believe.
For sure,
But,
for sure.
I think it's an improvement. At least
Yeah.
you're getting information.
Right. Yeah, I think we call it the Great Ban, right?
The Great what?
The Great Ban.
Oh, yeah.
We all got banned, So it's been a work up to now, because I've had to start my 17-year social media account over.
Oh, yeah.
All my friends, they deleted me. So, but it is what it is. I'm not mad at them. The government was telling them I was pushing misinformation. And I'm like, an opinion. Oh, okay. That's misinformation, an
Right.
opinion.
Just opinion piece. That's the problem. Maybe it's too controlled,
Right.
That's why I do like those platforms that allow you to go and say what you want,
Dialogue, debate. Like, if someone disagrees with you, don't shut down the conversation. Let's have a conversation.
Right. Yeah, someone's saying that, right? Yeah.
Right. So, but I don't want the next generation to get discouraged and see a bunch of us, lose it. We got to bounce back somehow. And so my best thing was, well, I could do this for the community.
Good for you. I appreciate you doing it.
People are coming around. People are coming around. They'll figure out after they know me. I grew up here, so I'm not that far off from everybody's.
Right.
There's no extreme opinions. I'm just
your
in the middle.
perspective was shaped in this area.
Yeah.
That's good.
It'll be a nice day today, I think.
Yeah, I mean, yesterday was beautiful.
Yeah, nice, cool.
Weekend's gonna be nice.
Yep. Got another live stream. It's a Second Amendment event in New York.
Good.
And so I work with live streamers all across, the country, and I try to get their messages to their area. So, we live stream other people's content to state. So I got California live data, Arizona live data, and then I filter those streamers to those channels.
I see.
Yeah. So that's I was doing prep for it last night, but it's more information. Hey, especially in New York, to hear a Second Amendment event, you're like, aren't they one of the strictest, gun law states? But
I'm surprised California's been getting better, man.
Yeah.
I thought it would just gradually get worse, but
right.
I just went through the whole CCW thing. It took a long time.
Yeah.
But there's a pathway.
Right.
And there never was before. It was extremely difficult. So.
Yep.
And it's crazy expensive. That's I think going to be the problem. It's just too damn expensive.
Right. I can appreciate everybody who wants the responsibility to do something like that. I'd like the responsibility in some sense. I hope everybody's ready to take those responsibilities on, in that sense. I've talked to the police department about it and told them, I do First Amendment auditing, wait till the Second Amendment auditing comes. They're not looking forward to that day.
I was surprised how many people were in line for the interviews, because I thought, how many can be out there trying to get it?
Right.
But man, I went over there to San Diego to the sheriff's office.
Yep.
And it was probably at least 30 people in the morning lined up, and they do that every week.
Yeah,
and so I'm like, man, 30, 40 people a week going through there. That's pretty significant.
Yeah.
And they were saying too, the numbers are way up right now. So.
Yeah, I'm all for exercising our rights. It's you got to flex your muscles to keep them, so you got to flex your rights to keep them too. There's so many angles to everything. As long as everybody's paying attention to what they like, we'll make some good progress here. So
are you like a fundamental constitutionalist, or?
For the most part. I mean, I do agree there's limits to everything, but those limits are far out, they're far out from what we should consider freedom and constitutionally, protected.
I think your position is we should be able to debate that, right?
Right. Oh,
the
definitely.
Information out and talk about it, and where rights are infringed and where they're not.
Yeah. And to be honest with you, I think more people are waking up to this. So.
Well, that's I think the improvement of independent reporting draws awareness to a lot of things that people were just complacent about and just presumed that everything was well, and then once you kind of look under the hood, you're like, what?
Too much trust.
Yeah.
They get paid a lot of money, and when I come in and don't get paid anything and I'm cleaning house on some stuff, it doesn't look very good.
Yeah.
So.
But I can also see the fear of the independent reporting too, because that's the challenge. Nobody was living before,
right?
And you were kind of used to the autonomy of just operating in a certain way, and then somebody comes and asks questions.
Oh, it challenges everybody's job, position, money, values. Yeah. And my dad has a hard time reconciling it because he's a union guy.
Oh, yeah.
And, I can agree with unions on some things, and then other things I can have my own opinion about. So, yeah, it's a
good work. Glad someone's doing it.
Yeah, for sure. There's going to be more of us. It's just, what's your niche? What are you into?
Yeah, right.
And I don't mean to say this wrong for anyone listening, but there's the tree huggers, there's the vegans, everybody has their cause, and I think everybody should raise awareness to these things. And then, how does it affect everyone else? That's more.
Right on.
If it doesn't affect everybody else, what's the, if you're not hurting anyone, you're not,
right. Live and let live.
But as far as some PDFs and all these other child human trafficking and things, we need to step up as a community and weed this stuff out. So
I think everybody agrees that's wrong, and so
right.
Let's all just agree on that. And we see it, and let's be aggressive about it.
And let's move forward to the next thing, And so that's why I say it's just about uniting under these little things instead of well, we can't agree on that. We can't agree on that. So we shouldn't work together?
Let's find that commonality, right?
Right. Like I said, I'm from here, so I don't think we disagree on too much. And I always try to remind people, I work with everybody. I'm not here to say what to say or, And so you'd be surprised who some of my biggest fans are. And we do have some federal attention too, as far as what ties I had to make to get my message out while I was being banned. So I have people on a higher level looking at Chula Vista, and it's hey, we could look good or we could look bad.
Yeah.
So which one do you want to do? And in some places, with the police department and things, we've been looking good. but they still have issues. So it's like, that's where I'm just not willing to lie and say we don't.
Yeah.
So.
So you're live streaming right now?
Oh yeah. So it's just a transparency thing for me to my audience, and for them to know that I want them to be here.
Yeah.
And you know,
broaden the viewership.
Yeah.
Not a bad thing at all.
Yeah. Probably get started here in a couple minutes.
It's a pretty good turnout. They were saying it would be like 20 to 30 people.
Yeah, it always is.
It's pretty decent.
The problem I had with Chavez's event was only the supervisor advertised it. So Chavez didn't even tell. She said she walked around the neighborhood and dropped off a piece of paper at people's house. I'm like, no, you didn't. Like, maybe. But
I was talking to Don. He said we probably should have got word out a little bit earlier about this one.
Right. If you post it, or if they post it on their main accounts, I post everything they post.
Is that right?
So it's, you know, it's automated. I don't do any of it.
I'll have to see where I saw this at.
Yeah.
So it was reposted on Facebook.
Oh yeah, everywhere.
Yeah.
And I siphon people too, so I'll share the Facebook stuff on Facebook, the X stuff on X, and keep everybody in their silos. I tried getting everybody to X, nobody wants to go, so I'm like, okay, whatever.
It's the first thing I check in the morning, man.
Right. Oh, might need another cup of coffee before this starts.
That's pretty strong coffee, man. I was going to do another one, but I'll be too wired.
I'll set this on the table for right now. Yeah, I'm working on getting my election coverage to be a little better.
Oh, yeah.
It's difficult when it's just me doing everything. So if I could get one person to do interviews, like a reporter, someone cute on the a nice looking guy, however you want to say it, right? I'm more of a data person and do those types, but I try my best, so, but that's my only issue right now is like trying to get a girl, someone nice, easy on the eyes, to entice a bunch of people to watch it.
Yeah, right.
So that way they can inform themselves. The news does great with their people, and they're animated, and
right.
But they don't cover local stuff. So
I think it shouldn't be too hard, right? In the social networking era right now, everybody wants their own, their own notoriety.
For sure.
All you have to do is go find somebody who's looking for the other side of help, the data side, and say, hey, let's go and do this together.
That's it. That's it.
I think it'd be easier to find a front person, right, than it would be to find somebody.
Well, everybody wants to get paid.
That's
I'm doing this for community and for the.
But pay comes with notoriety.
For sure.
Yeah,
yes, for sure.
Well, thank you everybody for being here today. I just very honored to have you all come out today. I'm excited to see the Padres jacket there. Unfortunately, I think they've lost like the last 9 out of 10 games. They started slow, and then they were doing really well, and then again they've hit a slump, but hopefully they're going to get back on track. I'm John McCann. I'm the mayor of the city of Chula Vista, and just really happy that you're here. I'm going to talk a little bit about what's happening over at the city. Then we have Lieutenant Ray, who's going to come talked about e-bike safety and general safety with traffic. And then we have a whole bunch of questions that we'll go through, and I'll do my best to be able to answer those for you. And come on in, John. No, don't worry about that. And John Volan, he is a member of the Senior Volunteer Patrol. And so if you're over 50 and you're looking for something to do, we're always looking for great people to be part of the Senior Volunteer Patrol. And it's probably one of the best organizations at the City of Chula Vista.
And we need you because over 50, some of them are gone fast. You know, so we'd like to have you with us.
Well, I think most of us, since they moved to Chula Vista, they live longer. So that's the greatness about our city. So I'm John McCann. I'm the mayor of the city of Chula Vista. I'm a lifelong resident. And just to show you, when I grew up in elementary school, our population in the city was about 60 to 70,000 people. Now we're almost at 300,000. We're the second largest city in the county. We're 52 square miles. And so by far we're the second largest. Obviously San Diego is over 1 million people. We're almost 300,000 people, and the next city population probably about 150,000, things like that. But when you look at Imperial Beach, National City, Coronado, they're all between 30 and 50,000 people. And if you took our geography and our population, we actually are larger than all those smaller cities. But we work very collaboratively with them. Obviously, it was interesting because I didn't see any Tijuana sewer questions, but we can talk about those. But the city of Chula Vista is not as affected by the Tijuana sewer issues like Imperial Beach or Coronado, but we still have been a very collaborative partner in making sure that we're working to be able to help the entire region. And that's a very complicated issue because it's not just north of the border, but it's south of the border, and we're trying to work collaboratively to help decrease that issue because it is a very challenging issue. I was in the 90s. I was a planning commissioner on the housing commission, and was there on many of the projects for the master plan communities. My mom was a single mom, went ahead and raised me and my sister, worked at Roar Industries. Anybody know what Roar Industries is?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm glad I have a crowd that knows about it. Because I go to places and I'm like, yeah, the Roar Industries. And they go, what? But Roar Industries we used to be sort of almost a one-company town. Most of my friends would their parents would work for Roar Industries, or they would work for the Navy or the military, or something that would support the military. And I still love the story about Fred Roar, who was just an incredible guy who ran the company. And I wasn't on the city council back then, but when he wanted to expand his factory, the city council at that time was concerned because they didn't think it had a large economic impact. And so what he did was he went ahead and brought in all these trucks that had silver dollars and paid his employees in silver dollars. And because he did that, there were all these silver dollars. They couldn't get rid of any silver dollars for about 2 years in the city of Chula Vista. So it showed you the incredible economic impact that everybody had in the city of Chula Vista for Roar Industries. 3 things I'll just do an overview. I think our city, as I say, this is our decade. We've worked very diligently to be able to master plan our eastern side. Then on our western side now, as mayor, I've been very focused on trying to redevelop that. Obviously, has anybody been to the Gaylord Resort? Good. Woohoo! Wow, this is great. That's where, literally where Gaylord is one of the buildings that my mom used to work in at Roar Industries. They had consolidated, and there was opportunity to be able to create access for everybody, for residents to go out and enjoy the bayfront. And I was very fortunate and lucky. I was elected to the city council 2002, 2003. We together master planned the bayfront. And then it was a 22-year overnight success story, because it took 22 years to get the Gaylord here, get it through the California Coastal Commission, the Port Commission, and we were able to open it last year, May 15th, 2025. And yes, I do remember that date, and I do remember when I got married, so 9/9/98. And it was neat because back when I was younger, we didn't really have a lot of the amenities that other cities had. Like when I was in high school, we always looked at trying to find a place to have our prom in the city of Chula Vista, and there wasn't an opportunity to do that. There were really places where you bring in family to be able to have a family reunion or have a wedding ceremony or something like that. So we really, one of the goals is to be able to have the same amenities at a higher level than some of the other cities do, because we are a large city now, and even though we have a community feel, we still want to be able to have all these great things. So the neat thing is over the last couple of decades, we've set the foundation to do these great things like our Bayfront, like the eastern side and the Millennial Library. And now we're actually seeing these things actually happen and be results. The other thing is that we are one of the safest cities, not only in the county. We have incorporated cities. Right now we're the safest city in the county. We are one of the top safest cities in the state of California. And the FBI has us listed as one of the top 10 safest cities in the United States with a population of over 200,000. So Lieutenant Ray and the police officers do an incredible job. So please give him a round of applause. And then one of the things that we're doing also is we are trying to make sure that we are growing to, especially in our newer communities, and we did not have a library, new library in the city since 1995. As my wife says, don't ask me where I was in 1995, much younger, but we have a Millennial Library that will be opening by the end of the year. And the neat thing about it, it's 5 stories, and we've always wanted to be able to have a university, 4-year university in the city of Chula Vista. Since the 90s, we had leaders that were looking at that. And then over the years, we have been able to, as there's been a new master plan community, each developer would donate some acreage to be able to have university land. We now have 383 acres, which is, and we were able to attain that amount of land in 2017. The goal there is not only do we want to have the university or multiple universities, but we also have 100 acres of innovation district land. And the model that we look at is up in UCSD in Sereno Valley. They have these great high-tech companies that has a great relationship with UCSD. So you can have students go, they get their degree at UCSD, but then they work on these internships and they get the information on what they need to be able to learn and study from these high-tech companies. And then, so when the students graduate, there's a likelihood that they will be able to work in Sereno Valley. And so it's this really ecosystem where they collaborate together to be able to do, I think, good high-paying jobs. And I actually worked up in Sereno Valley. They had some great jobs up there. I still remember every time one of the companies would get bigger and they need to move, I'd always show them that we had about 25 to 30% of the people that worked up there at those companies actually lived here in Chula Vista in the South Bay. And so what I'd like to be able to do is have many companies open up in the city of Chula Vista, because after doing a commute over an hour there and over an hour back, I would have taken a pay cut to work down here in Chula Vista. But with that, I'm going to have Lieutenant Ray come up, and talk about e-bike safety. That's become a major issue, especially with younger kids. Many of these e-bikes can be very, very dangerous, and you have younger and younger kids that are on these e-bikes. And when you talk to Children's Hospital, when you talk to the emergency room at Sharp, there's a huge spike now in children getting hurt. And at the city of Chula Vista, we went ahead and passed some ordinances, but just like any type of ordinance, the education of safety is very, very important, making sure people know what they need to do with their kids, with their grandkids, to make sure they're safe, and then also being able to have an ability to enforce when people aren't doing the right thing and following this ordinance. So everybody, I'm going to go ahead and introduce Lieutenant Ree, so give him a round of applause.
Thank you. I'm not really good with microphones. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, then I'm going to skip the microphone for now. I'm Lieutenant Rusty Ree. I've been with the city of Chula Vista now for, it'll be 28 years next month as a police officer. 17 of those have been in the traffic division, a little over 11 riding a motorcycle. So traffic has been one of the core things that I've done here for the city. And obviously e-bikes and the concerns and the issues with e-bikes and e-motorcycles have been a large issue lately. But just to kind of hammer home a couple of the points that the mayor made, how many motorcycle officers do you guys think there are in the city of Chula Vista? 20. Okay, so I heard 20. There are 9. There are 9 motorcycle officers in the city of Chula Vista. That's how many motor positions we have, and we're down one right now because we're short-staffed. So we are one of the safest cities, and we wear that like a badge, and that is fantastic. But we also do it being one of the lowest staffed agencies in the county, the state, the nation. As far as cops per 1,000 population, we are near the bottom, and we have been near the bottom for as long as I've worked here. And we've gotten by making sure we hire the right people to do the right jobs and doing it efficiently and with technology and various things. So we've survived that way, but it is a reality as well. And so those 9 motor officers, we do a ton of functions in the police department. We do traffic safety, but unlike most of the other units in the department, we also review every single traffic collision report that's taken in the city. So our 9 motor officers have a piece of that. They work tons of overtime for concerts and special events and other operations. And then any serious traffic collision or fatal traffic collision, they do the investigation on that, which is much like a homicide investigation. So you have a unit that's smaller or similar in size to our homicide unit investigating these major crimes, but then on top of that, they're actually going out and doing enforcement. So there are limits to what we can achieve with what we have out there in the field. So with that in mind, a lot of the emphasis for dealing with the e-bikes and these motorcycles really is going to come down to parents and the people who are buying these bikes and these e-motorcycles for their kids and allowing them to have them. And if the parents don't engage, there's very little we can do. What happens when we stop an e-bike and they decide not to stop? Who thinks we should chase them? Okay, so we don't chase them. So what does that do?
It just makes the problem worse because they're getting away with it.
So they're getting away with it, and if they do it more and more often, it becomes a game.
Yeah.
And now they're posting it on social media that I ran from the cops and got away. But if we do chase them, what happens?
An accident.
They get hurt, they get in an accident, they crash, they die.
Yeah.
Whose fault is it?
The police.
So
We always
she,
blamed on the police.
they're literally, right now, there is an officer being prosecuted in Escondido for chasing someone on an e-bike who crashed and died. So that's what we're facing. The police department is not going to be able to solve the e-bike and e-motorcycle issue. It is going to come down to parents and grandparents and other people getting involved, or some sort of national campaign to outlaw them and completely get rid of them. But absent that, it's not going to change. It's going to come down to parents, and they really have to understand what they are putting their kids on and what they're letting them do. We had an operation a couple weeks ago where we did focus specifically on e-motorcycles. It took a ton of officers to be able to make sure we could do the enforcement safely and deal with them running without getting into pursuits and chasing them, but still net them. We got 4 kids, all of them on e-motorcycles. Guess how old they were?
8, 9, 10, 8.
11, 12, 13, and 13.
Yes.
Okay, 4 kids on e-motorcycles. One of those e-motorcycles is a Sur-On. It'll do 70 miles an hour.
Yeah. Ridiculous.
One of those kids' parents was a teacher, where we've done all these campaigns about e-motorcycles and e-bikes. They claimed that they thought it was just a regular old e-bike and didn't realize what their kid was on. This is where the education comes in. And this is really where the parents have to step in. They have to engage. Parents and grandparents, they have to understand what these kids are on and what's going to happen to them. I mean, we just had someone on an e-bike in a major accident 2 nights ago. On the street, pulled out into traffic, ran right in front of a car, and got hit. Can anybody tell me the difference between an e-bike and an e-motorcycle?
Pedals.
Yes.
Pedals.
Yes.
Functional pedals.
Yes.
We've seen people putting fake pedals on their e-motorcycles to try and make them look like an e-bike, but they actually have to have functional pedals that you can pedal the bicycle like a bicycle. Okay? And e-motorcycles truly, I mean, e-bikes are an issue, and we do see bad behavior on e-bikes. The Otay Ranch Mall is calling in regularly because kids actually go in there and harass the security guards and try to force them to chase them. And none of these parents seem to know where their kids are or what they're doing. And they're all surprised when we call them and tell them what's going on. Nobody seems to really understand, and that's a parental issue. You have to know what your kids are doing. If you're putting them on these things, you have to know how they're riding them. You have to know how they're engaging them. If you give your kids an e-bike and you send them somewhere, pull up on the side, watch from a distance, see what they're doing. But you've got to pay attention to your kids. You're the only ones who are going to be able to do anything about it or truly deal with it. So e-motorcycles, when your kid is on an e-motorcycle, or your grandkid's on an e-motorcycle, what you're really giving them is essentially an off-road dirt bike that most of you would never ever consider putting your kid on and telling them to ride it to and from school. Everybody knows that's a bad idea, but because it's electric, for some reason people think the opposite and they think it's okay. And what you don't realize, who drives an EV? Anybody drive an EV? How does the acceleration on your EV compare to a comparable gas car? Way faster. Okay, they accelerate like you wouldn't believe if you haven't driven one. You hit the gas and it is instantly responsive. They take off, and that's what these kids are riding on these e-motorcycles. It's the electric version of a dirt bike with way better acceleration from the start. They take off way faster. It's far more than the kids 11, 12, and 13 are really developed enough to be able to handle and understand and make good decisions with. E-bikes are a lesser version of that, but they do still have a significant amount of power. They do still have acceleration that exceeds what a lot of these young kids are, and that's why the ordinance is there that says you can't ride them if you're under 12. And those are the ones that only do 20 miles an hour. The ones that'll go up to 28, you have to be 18 to ride. And those are the level 3s. And we could go into all the differences about that stuff if anybody likes or anybody has any questions. But the reality is if an e-bike, if it'll only do 20 miles an hour, then you have to be 12-year-olds to ride it. If it'll do more than that, you have to be 18 to ride it. Okay. But it's really going to come down to parents going out there, watching what their kids are doing, making sure they know the difference of what their kids have, whether it's an e-bike or an e-motorcycle, and whether or not it's one that they're legally allowed to ride. I mean, if you put an 11-year-old on an e-motorcycle, even if you thought it was an e-bike, you're still in the wrong. It's beyond their capability. And you know, those kids, 3 of them tried to run from us. So, you know, we're talking about 11, 12, and 13-year-olds trying to run from the police, riding vehicles that are far beyond their level and their capacity of control. That's really what I had to talk about. I passed out kind of an info sheet where it covers a lot of the stuff, but those are really the areas that we have the strongest focus on. Yes, ma'am.
So what can the police do and what can't they do? Because my dog and I walk a lot. We walk about 5 miles a day out here, and we've seen these serrans on the dirt trails causing a lot of damage. Sunset View Park, which was just redone, sadly, the basketball courts, they all have burned out. So do we call the emergency number when we see something like this? Because like, it's terrifying to be walking and having a kid that doesn't care and is going super fast, and they think it's fun, you know, like to come out and harass people. I've also seen them around the Republic Service truck in the woods. There were 22 of them surrounding this poor Hispanic man who was driving the waste truck. And he looked paranoid, like he didn't know what to do because they were all around his truck. And that truck is very heavy, and I mean, the poor thing had to stop. And then they started doing circles around him. Like, it's horrible. Like, what do we do as a community?
So, just for everybody's edification, Surons are an e-motorcycle, so those are motorcycles that we're talking about, and they're very capable. They're among the higher end, so they're very fast. But just like anything else, I would recommend calling either the non-emergency or the emergency line, and that is really going to be a choice that's up to you based on the activity you're seeing and how dangerous you think it is. If you think it's rising to the level of, you know, somebody being, you know, injured or maimed or something really bad happening, then call the emergency line. If it's just, you know, there's 22 of them and they're harassing the trash truck, but they're not necessarily riding recklessly and they're staying far enough away, maybe that's a non-emergency line. But it's really going to be depending on, you're going to have to make that call when you see them. But I'm always going to encourage call every time, because that's the only way we're going to get people there to enforce them and hopefully catch them in the act and address it. If you don't call, we don't know about it. And that's really what it comes down to. If you don't call, we don't know about it. And I know, you know, some of you might know what Actual Vista is. It's an app we use to register complaints. There are a lot of different city issues you can report on that. And I've seen people reporting the e-bike stuff on Actual Vista. I'm going to recommend against it because it's not constantly monitored. There are some people that are using that app because they don't want to wait on the phone to talk to a dispatcher. But the reality is, if you report something on that app, it's probably not going to get seen until the next work day. So there's a very good chance that if you report somebody's riding recklessly on an e-bike right now, we're not going to know about it until Monday, and it's going to be too late. So, well, Actualist is good for a lot of things. It's a fantastic app. It does it works for a lot of things. It's really meant for things that are long, or either chronic issues or things that are ongoing issues that are going to be there in 3 days. Not things that are happening right now, not things that are safety issues right now. That should always be a call to the non-emergency line or 911, depending on the issue. Yes, ma'am.
So I opened Wolf Canyon, the principal who opened Wolf Canyon in 2007, and then in 2018 I went to Camarena. And one of the things that I found that was very powerful is the app like Nextdoor or FaceTime. When you see something that's happening, and you can take a video, if you have your phone, and you take a video and you post it, what people would do is they would come to me and they'd say, do you know this child, do you know this person? And then I could contact the parents or law enforcement or whatever, my SROs. But when you use things like Nextdoor, many times those kids don't realize they're being seen by so many people that can recognize them. And a lot of times things stopped when people did that.
And there is that aspect of Nextdoor and Facebook where you can post those things, and it might get to their parents and they might see it and it might help. But I do want to encourage, unfortunately we see a lot of people who go to that as their first method, that they're reporting things on Nextdoor and they're reporting things on Facebook before they call the police department. and I would advise that that's backwards. Call the police department, report the issue, take your video while you're calling or whatever, and then post it later. You're not going to get, the police department aren't going to come based on your next door post or based on your Facebook post. That's a great way to potentially reach their parents down the road maybe, but that should be your secondary response.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, that does nothing to do with the e-bikes, but more with traffic. Is there any hope that at some point cameras could be installed and issue tickets for people turning the lights when they're already red? It's like, not only so dangerous, and a lot of the crashes happen here on this corner where I live, Otaylix and Hunt, but also where the Target is. But also, like, sometimes I get stuck with two legs because the cars keep going, turning left, and then they block, and then you have a green and you can go because they're blocking, and then it turns red, and then you have to wait. It's just like there's no solution for that, it seems to be, unless they get tickets.
I completely understand. Red light cameras are, I don't think they're on the table or being considered at the moment by the city. The level of pushback there was when they talked about the cameras that were installed. I don't know how much, the city as a whole has an appetite for that right now. That's really something that would have to come from the city side, and there would be a lot of investigation, a lot of community outreach before that would roll out. So if you were to go to council meetings and suggest it and talk about it there and encourage it, they may take that and run with it, but that would really be something that would come from the city.
What could be another solution though? Because I work in Otay Mesa, and even when I come on the 125 and exit in Otay Lakes, I can't take a right because the cars coming on Otay Lakes, even though it's red, they keep going and they block, and you can never take a right to get into Otay Lakes.
So that is something you could report on ACT Chula Vista as a chronic traffic issue, and we would assign an officer to go out there and work that area. So that is something that ACT would be good for. Yes, sir.
What can be done to improve the quality of traffic on East Lake Parkway, late evenings, early morning? It thinks it's a super highway speedway. All
so that's a tough one, and that's a tough one because I know from hearing the complaints, everybody thinks it's an always and all the time, but it's not an always and all the time. It's an often, but putting an officer there and having them catch when someone is doing that at the same time is difficult. It's difficult to time it right. It's difficult to have, you've got to have an officer there at the right time to see it and engage with it. And, as we talked about earlier, we are among the lowest staffed. And one of the ways we're able to do that is, unfortunately, there isn't a lot of officer just sitting there in that one block. And East Lake Parkway is not the only one. There are a lot of places complaining about racing and loud cars at night. And unfortunately, most of the traffic unit works during the day. Those 9 motor officers are all daytime cops unless they're working. We do get a lot of state funding for grant operations, and we'll go work specific grant operations based on what the state is asking us to do. But at night, I have 2 DU officers that work the weekends, and they're the only ones assigned to me that are working those types of issues. And they do go out there and they do try to work them. We see them reported on ACT, but them being out there, most of the time they go out there and they sit in a place for a couple hours and nobody races, nothing happens. And then inevitably the next night is when it occurs. So timing that is difficult.
what about use of drones?
Yeah.
To regulate speeding. So our drone, right now, our drone policy, the drones don't do proactive patrols. The drones respond to 911 calls. So number one, we don't have that many drones up to have them watching for speed violations and doing those things. And there's a whole lot of legal issues that may come with that where, maybe racing's a little different where we can observe a race with the drone, but we don't respond to, they only respond to 911 calls. So the drone coming out would be you calling 911 saying there's a bunch of people racing right now and the drone responding and seeing it. That might happen, but they're not gonna do proactive patrol. Yes, ma'am.
You mentioned that an officer usually will go there and nothing will happen. What about just having a car? there and not the officer. Just, if you have any extra cars, like the Border Patrol, they sit on an X, they say, and then just have it there at the Coronado, when you go across the bridge, you see the cars that are there, and people slow down.
Yeah.
I would love to do that. Extra cars is not something we really have much of. We are, you know, generally speaking, an officer comes in from his shift, hands over the keys, and the next officer takes those keys and takes that car out in the field. Most of our cars are working 2 shifts out of 3 every day. So extra patrol cars is definitely a limited resource. And if I put one out there, and people realize it's unoccupied, it becomes a target for vandalism. It becomes a magnet for, some other things. So, just seeing what happens to some of our cars when we're parked outside Walmart, when we go into, deal with a shoplifter or something, parking a car on a roadway is, something we will do from time to time, but it's not something we can do with a consistent effort. We also have to have, you're going to take 2 officers out of the field to drive the car and park it there, and then take them back to get another car so that they can work their shift for that night, and then go back and pick it up. I mean, we're talking about a lot of time investment. It seems like a very simple solution, but it's a little more complicated than that.
Or maybe putting the speedometer, what is it?
The flashing, we do have the speed trailers. We put those out. If you ask for that on ACT, we have a couple of speed trailers, and they are out 24/7, and they are getting moved basically every week or so. They get moved. So they are constantly being moved to a different place, and we have a list of locations that all want them. So if you put in a request for that on Chula Vista, we will eventually get there. As long as there's a safe place to put it. We've had a couple places that people have asked us for it, and there's just not a place to park a trailer. Yes, ma'am.
We have a bad stop sign at Hull and Naples. It's a speedway. It's going to obey the stop sign. So back in the 70s and 80s, the police would park their car in my driveway. I bring coffee, whatever. The point is, when they saw that, and there was an officer who was there, boy, did they stop speeding. And they started stopping at the stop sign, which was good. So, they made their trips around, and when that got known, it improved. But we're in 2026 right now, and it's back to where it was to be.
And Officer Knapp, I know, works that spot regularly. He's got that complaint. But it is, we have 9. They all have a lot of complaints, and they can work them for a few weeks, and then they've got to move on, and people revert back. Traffic on the whole, if you really want to discuss traffic on the whole, prior to COVID, we probably had traffic in a lot of places fairly well under control. And unfortunately, that takes years and years and years of enforcement to create that environment. And when COVID hit, we had officers who were afraid to make stops because we didn't know what it was. We didn't know what was going to happen. We had people who, we weren't making proactive stops. We were told not to because we were trying not to risk infecting others or getting infected ourselves for something we didn't know anything about. And so we weren't making stops for those lesser violations. They weren't making a lot of proactive stops. And at the same time, a lot of people weren't driving, so the roads kind of became speedways. And so we created bad habits in our drivers, and we created bad habits in our officers. Officers, we had a whole flock of trainees during a period of time that were trained. We don't make a lot of proactive stops. And so it's going to take us a while to break those habits and get those regular patrol officers back to writing tickets and doing those things. But it's going to take even longer for that to have an impact on what you guys see in day-to-day driving.
So I've been out here for almost 30 years, and I really love the signs that used to be out here that said, if you can't stop, we'll help you stop. Like, it was a sign from the police officer. Is there a way to go back to that? Because I'm with this lady over here. I walk out here all the time, and people just, they don't even, they're going 40 miles an hour. They go straight through this. Sometimes it's sad.
I remember that campaign with Sergeant John Munch on those banners.
Yes, and it worked.
Some people drew some very creative decorations on it that he wasn't very happy about.
Yes.
I remember that campaign, and that is definitely something we could consider again.
Yeah.
But part of that is us making sure that we can follow up with it.
Yeah.
Just last comment, agreeing with my neighbor there. It doesn't have to be a permanent solution. When I go to work and people on 25, we're always noticing is there an officer hiding right there because people were speeding before, and then every now and then, maybe once a month, there's an officer hiding right there, and then you see him stopping somebody, and now nobody speeds. So it's just once a month, 1 hour, and people see him, people know, and then we had one officer once a month, 1 hour.
I completely understand and hear you, and that's what I try to encourage, but the reality is, I have 9 guys. We can't cover every space in the city that wants us there once a month just for an hour. They're just don't have the manpower to do it. But we will do it to the extent that we can, and that's where ACT comes in. You report it on ACT, and we send officers out there, and generally they are required to do at least a monthly checkup on that location. You know, some of them, I'll be honest with you, some of them they can go out there and work it several times in a week, and their behavior stops, and it's obvious, and people slow down, and they're able to move on. There are other places in the city that I could put a cop out there every day for 2 years, and it may never change. That's just the reality of it. And there are some, so we, you know, sometimes with the ones that we know we're never going to change, we're gonna go out there from time to time and we're gonna work it, but at the same time, you know, at some point it becomes a wasted effort when we have a bigger impact somewhere else. Yes, ma'am.
We live by Royal Park and Sweetwater Road. There's a bike lane.
Okay.
And we see so many people on the bike lane. We see mothers with strollers on the bike lane. So my husband's a bicyclist, and so he comes and he has to go out into the traffic to avoid those people. And there's more and more. They have a wonderful path at Royal Park, going toward Royal Park. And we were wondering, there's a sign that says $1,000 for littering. There's no litter. Can they put a sign, can you guys put a sign up that says, no pedestrian, this is a bike lane, $1,000 for walking on the bike lane. It's very dangerous, especially seeing people are walking their dogs. The dogs are out in the traffic, and they're walking on the bike lane. And like I said, the sign prevented people from throwing trash. Can we put some sign up that says?
We could put a sign up. I mean, the city, that's not a police department question as far as signage goes. However, what I will say is, generally speaking, they're not going to put signs up for things that aren't illegal, and that's kind of what we run into. Is there's
Very dangerous.
So maybe we need to come up with like a campaign, like the lady over there was saying, of the signs that were once put up. Maybe we need to start doing something like that again.
We can look at that again, for sure. We can look into that. It's the but as far as the signs in that area, I understand your frustration, but it's the same frustration that drivers have about bicyclists in the roadway. You know, they're going slow, they're blocking the roadway, I can't get past them. It's dangerous, but they have a legal right to be there. And so we can't put up signs that tell them they can't do something when that's not against the law.
So it's not illegal to stop the bike lane?
Nope.
It's so dangerous. One of these days somebody's going to get killed, and then we'll put signs up. Yeah.
Well, they'd have to make a law. That would have to come first, and that's in fact, unfortunately, a lot of our laws are going the other direction. So jaywalking used to be illegal to cross the street between 2 intersections if there was a control. Jaywalking is now, you know, there's now the Freedom of Walk Act where we can't enforce jaywalking unless they basically nearly cause an accident. So more and more of these rules are going the other way. We impound cars for people without driver's license or with suspended licenses, but they've recently changed the case law to further restrict when we can impound those cars. And so there are going to be a lot of times now where we're gonna pull somebody over for having a suspended license, and all we can do is issue them a ticket and hope that they don't drive again. But they're going to get their car right back. They're going to be able to come back an hour later and drive away, and there's not really anything we can do about it. So unfortunately, our laws are trending in the opposite direction.
Well, thank you. Please give. Well, that was excellent. Really, a lot of great questions and everything. So,
I work traffic, it's nothing but. When we stop people, they complain that we stop them. When we don't stop, they complain. So there's no.
And one of the things I think that Lieutenant Reed talked about was we have 9 traffic officers, but we are trying to add more. And for the entire police department, Chula Vista Police Department, we have over 20 positions open. So if you know somebody who's interested, who would like to become a police officer, who's qualified, send them our way, because I remember when I was out of high school and in college, I had several friends who wanted to become police officers, and it was very challenging. I mean, they would, there might be a couple positions open and 3,000 people would apply for that position. Now we've seen a huge decrease in people wanting to become police officers. But I have to say, it is a great position. It's wonderful to be part of the police department, as well as they get a pretty good pension after 20 years, right?
It's not based on. I mean, it is based on years, but it's not a 20 and out like the feds. It's a you got to be age 50 before you can start.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then,
so seek your financial advisor before you do. We have a lot of good questions here, so we're going to go through and I'm going to have Lieutenant Reed here because he can help with some of the police questions. But this is from Dr. McLaren. How are you working with schools to provide ongoing training and information regarding safety? One of the great things is obviously we have a great police department. And one of the key things that we have what are called school resource officers. So whether it's with the elementary school district or the high school district, we have several SROs assigned to multiple schools, and they do a really good job. You may have heard that one of the middle schools, they had a child bring a ghost gun, and it was, it's one of those things. You can go ahead and sit down if you. Are there seats? Or come on down here. And unfortunately, it was one of those things where he wanted to go, and it sounds like he didn't have any ill intent, but he just wanted to show and basically show that he had the gun and to be able to brag about it. But our SROs responded very, very quickly and everything. Also, I know that our police department has different plans. Obviously, if there's an active shooter, that's always a major concern. And we've had several meetings on being able to bring the community in, working with the school district to talk about what happens if there is an issue at your school, either an active shooter or even just a regular disaster, to be able to educate everybody to understand. I'm a Navy veteran, 26 years, and the big thing is you just never know what can happen, but you want to be able to train. So if something does happen, you're prepared and ready for that. Was that good? Do you have any more specific questions on that?
No more specific questions, but one of the things that school districts have access to is the automated message system. And when there's a routine of sending that message out every week to let people know the highlights of the school, that's one thing. But another thing is the power of videos. So when you make a safety video, a comprehensive safety video that you can continually send out on, every so often, and training for folks, then you reach more people. So when we first started having safety in services once a year, that's not enough, because people forget, just like, they see a police car and then 3 weeks later when it's not there, they go back to the same thing. So it's really the key word on there was ongoing. And about 10 years ago, I was part of a team, and one of the resource officers was on that team to get FEMA training to come back and provide comprehensive safety district-wide, because what happens is individual schools do individual things, but there's no coordinated effort to work alongside the police department, the city engineer for safety crosswalks and all of that. So the ongoing use of school messenger can be really powerful if it's used in a way to get that information out about even the website or what you were talking about for letting us know when we can file a complaint or whatever it is we need to find out. That's the information that can go to the schools.
Yeah, that's some good information. Excuse me.
I will just to throw in that we do, and our SROs meet regularly with the school districts with their leadership. And throughout this entire e-bike campaign, we met with them several times when the ordinance was being written, and then with plans as far as how it was going to be communicated out and everything else. So that the school administration, we can communicate with them, we can collaborate with them, but at the end of the day, how they choose to communicate and what they choose to communicate, we can't control. That becomes their prerogative.
And pushing the information out versus expecting people to go and find a website and Google it and all of that. That's why school messenger is more powerful, because you're pushing in to the entire group that you have phone numbers for your whole school. You're pushing that into them instead of waiting for them to look up a website.
You're correct, but we can't control the school districts, what they choose to, how they choose to push it out. We've had those meetings, we've had those discussions, and I hear what you're saying, but what you're asking is out of our control.
I understand. That's why I'm running for the school board.
Thank you for bringing it. This is a question from Tom Bergman. Are there plans to redevelop Rural Park, and what is the future of the golf course? Yes, there are. So we are going to master plan Rural Park and the golf course, and we're sort of the idea of we approved to be able to redo the master plan, and there was sort of some questions on whether it was going to be just Rural Park or the golf course, and I believe it needs to be the entirety. My father-in-law was a great golfer, and I still remember he would always go down to golf at Bonita Golf Course, not Chula Vista Golf Course, and I said, why do you do that? And he goes, because of all the amenities at Bonita and Chula Vista was not as well taken care of. We have brought in a new operator to be able to do a better job, and we created a new capital fund for the golf course. So instead of just paying your fee and the money going to the operator, we actually have a capital fund, so a portion of that fee then goes specifically for a capital operating fund to make those improvements. Plus, I think there's a need, and always has been. Rural Park is the largest park in the city of Chula Vista, and over the years, it has been piecemeal, and so we want to make sure that we're leveraging as many things as possible. First, one of the issues was about the horse rink. I do support keeping the horse rink. I think when I grew up, when I was younger, Bonita was always a horse community. We need to make sure that we protect that history. But also what we need to do is, there's a lot of opportunity, I think, to improve the amenities. There's a huge demand still for sports fields, and I think there's an opportunity in some of that land to be able to rearrange it to accommodate that. The Roar Manor, unfortunately, that is a deteriorating facility, and for years it was not maintained well. But I believe at some point in time, if we could do it, we'd love to put in a boutique hotel there and have it sort of become the Roar Manor, as well as there need to be some other amenities, like where, when you go to a golf course, where can you get married there? And it'd be a great draw to be able to bring people in. when you go to the essentially the center there, I think there's a great opportunity to make that 2 stories, have a restaurant at the top. We also don't really have a patio where the 18th hole is. So there's a lot of different challenges there, but I think there are going to be some good improvements, as well as talking about walking around the golf course. It's about a little more than 3 miles to be able to jog or walk around the golf course, but I think we need to do a better job of being able to accommodate bikers and be able to accommodate some people who would like to be able to jog in those areas. I was very proud because talk about COVID. We had many of the horse owners come to me several years ago and say that there were dogs that were being unleashed, and the dog would go over and sort of engage the horses, and the horses would get startled. So in that park, we didn't have a dog park. So I proposed a dog park. We put in a dog park, and it was really very, very well used. It still is. And so we want to make sure that we get those different amenities that maybe haven't been planned with the other parks because they're newer. But on the COVID thing, it's funny because everybody's supposed to be home and shelter in place. And then right before COVID, we actually opened the dog park. And, for a while there, people weren't supposed to go to the parks. And so I still remember we're in our van with my kids, and my kids are like looking, and we're driving by the dog park, and they say, "Dad, it's totally full. There's all these people at the dog park." And I'm like, "That's awesome. Just don't tell me that." So, but now, does that answer the question on the? Oh yeah, go ahead.
I had a question about on the walking path. It's cool. I know some of the beach, they have just a center line, so you kind of have traffic pattern. I mean, is that something that would maybe help alleviate? Because if you put a center line, people will go one direction, but if it's not there, they just all walk in the middle.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that we're looking at to be able to do. Because of the largeness of the park, we ran into some CEQA issues, and then again, there were some challenges that we had to make sure we put the horse rink back in. But that's a great idea, and we'll definitely put that in for Aurora Park and everything.
I was just going to say with that, some of the areas are very persistent all the way around. But then you have other areas where it's really a lot of soft pack. So for older people and other people who have, physical issues, they're going to go over where the hard pack side is because the soft pack is so hard to walk through. So I think maybe more of a consistent quality on the trail would be really helpful. Just to address that question. I think that's why, because I see the same thing, and I understand people are going to walk where it's easier to walk.
And my thoughts are, and again, I would love to be able, I attempt to do 5Ks, either walking or jogging, but the idea that we can, during Bonita Fest, we could do a morning 5K, something like that, I think would be great. Because really, the Aurora Park is our central park, and in the early 2000s, believe it or not, there was a movement to try to build condos and housing there. Luckily, we were able to defeat that because it really is something that creates open space and everybody loves and everything. But you're right, we would like to improve it so it's really consistent, has better signage, is safer for people to be able to walk or bike around the golf course and the park.
So back to the Aurora Park master plan, you kind of called it a sort of master plan. How much commitment is there to that, and what what stage of development is it?
So I apologize if I spoke on that, but it is going to be a master plan to be able to redevelop the Roar Park and the golf course to make improvements so it's easier to maintain, more cost effective, and bringing in new amenities like pickleball. Does anybody play pickleball? Oh, only one guy here. No, it's interesting. We did a parks master plan in 2017, and nobody knew what pickleball was. And then a couple years later, pickleball is like the rage. So we're looking at all the different needs and desires, and we're going to efficiently and cost effectively try to plan a master plan so we can maintain the golf course, make that a very, very good facility so it gets to the next level, as well as making sure that we have Roar Park to create the additional charms and abilities to do things at the park. Question? Do you have? Yes, Robert.
So I've been attending some other meetings lately, and I think some of the trail stuff also applies to the green belt. And I don't hear the green belt being brought up too much about Roar Park specifically, and the work that the city's doing with the county to upgrade that whole trail that goes all the way around Chula Vista. And if nobody's heard of it, I encourage you to look up what they call the Green Belt Trail. So.
There's a water ditch right next to Sweetwater, and it's always, we were walking past it, it's dark water, a lot of weeds, very nasty looking, where the water runs from
Where's the city?
Water Road, where the bridge is, by Willow Street, and it's just ugly. And it holds water, but it has a lot of weeds coming out of it, and we've seen workers there, and they've taken weeds out, and they've cleared it, and then it goes back in, and it's really bad, and the water was like a black color. So is that for mosquitoes, or it's right by the homes there?
Yeah, after the meeting here, see me personally I'll have our public works look into that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good thing. Next question by Edith. Growing population at the city sewer increase. So we obviously have sewer fee. The interesting thing about Chula Vista is we have two water companies. We have Otay Water, and then we have Sweetwater Authority. And so if your Sweetwater tends to mainly be on the west side, and Otay Water tends to be on the east side. And what they do is the city actually does the sewer lines, but we work with each one of the water companies to be able to collect the fees and making sure that when you flush the toilet that it goes out. On Sweetwater, they actually have it where they put the fees on your property tax. With Otay Water, they actually bill you just like a regular bill on a monthly basis. The thing is, we don't have much of control over the sewer fees because ultimately we get the sewage that goes through our pipes, and then it goes out to the treatment plants, and the treatment plants are the ones that charge us, and then we unfortunately pass that, well, we have to pass it on to the users. Unfortunately, we don't have as much control over that. But every year there is usually an increase, and I know at some point in time what happens is people don't want an increase, and then instead of having these small little increases each year, suddenly these pipes are not being maintained or breaking because they're not having the revenue, and then ultimately then they the city of Chula Vista, what we do on many of these maintenance issues, we're there to fully try to maintain things well, because I know many people now have electric cars, but if you have a gas-powered car, which I grew up in, if you go ahead and you change the oil every quarter and everything, your car engine's going to last a lot longer. But if you don't change oil, then suddenly you're going to have some major issues. And doing those small oil changes at a smaller cost is much more effective than suddenly not doing it and then suddenly having to replace your entire engine, which can be pretty costly. Did that answer that?
Yeah, from my understanding on the letter that I received was that Chula Vista doesn't have the water treatment facility, that they send the water to city to be treated. So is there like projects or proposals to see if Chula Vista could build their own treatment plants, or maybe like the new developments that are growing here on the east side that require to have their own small plants for the golf courses? They can have their plants that they can reuse the water of maybe hotels or parks or something like that. That we can compare how much we're paying to send that water through the pipes to the city of San Diego instead of doing it here.
Yeah, that's a really good question. The sewage treatment facilities are major, hundreds of millions of dollars investments, and to be able to say that, hey, and I know we've looked at this before, to say, hey, we're going to do our own treatment plant, it would be cost effective, and it would be a huge capital expense, literally in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. And so we understand that our residents don't want to necessarily then start spending some massive amounts of money to be able to do that. And the treatment plant essentially is a regional plant, just like City of Chula Vista, Imperial Beach, National City, Coronado, as well as the City of San Diego. We all collaborate, come together, have one treatment plant that we all go ahead and share the costs in there, and it makes it much more cost effective to have a regional treatment plant than have each city have their own. That's a great question.
You said hundreds of thousands there, it's hundreds of millions.
Yeah.
As an engineer in that in that speciality, I'm aware of.
So I apologize. I should have said hundreds of millions of dollars, not hundreds.
But not only that, nobody wants to live next to it and the smell. It's like, yeah, we want one, but not near me.
Yeah, and that, that's a really good point. A lot of people have these ideas, but treatment, putting a wastewater treatment plant next to a community would be a lot of people who wouldn't want that next. Scott, we've got because update on Roar Park, any movement on? Yeah, so we already covered that. Okay, so as long as when will East Lake Library open? It will be open at the Millennium Library will be open by the end of the year 2026. The neat thing is that it's a 5-story library, and so we're going to be able to have the library there. And if anybody understands, libraries are not just a bunch of books, physical books. Like when my kids go ahead and read a book now, it's all online. So they don't have, I'm still somebody who likes the physical pages when I read a book. I'm still into that. As well as there's so much technology. So the library is really going to be focused on being a community center where you can have electronic access as well as books and be able to have it so you can meet with people. But we're looking to have that open by the end of this year. It is on track to be open by the end of this year. We have a couple of special things that are going to be happening there too. It's 2 stories is dedicated to be a Chula Vista entertainment complex. They are coming down, and what they do is they do documentaries. They also do special effects for TV and movies, and they're looking to locate in Chula Vista at that facility. So we're keeping our fingers crossed that they will be able to get funding to be able to open up there, but everything looks exciting right now. The other thing is that we are going to have 1 story that is specifically for college classes, university classes. And I talked a little bit about how we have 383 acres to be able to build a university. Well, every time I've seen it over the last couple decades, we had land, and then we would invite universities down, and they would say, oh wow, this is all this land. It's really nice that you want to give it to us for $1 a year, but where's the infrastructure? Who are going to build the classrooms and things like that? As well as people weren't always understanding of Chula Vista and what we can do. So we have signed an agreement. I signed the agreement just about approximately a month or 2 ago to have San Diego State classes in the library, Millennial Library, this fall. And the neat thing is that we did a study with Southwestern College and the city of Chula Vista, because we want to make sure that if we're going to have university classes, that we're going to actually do degrees that actually help people get jobs. And so we did a study, and we said, what are the jobs that require degrees that are in most demand in the region? And it was fascinating because there were all these jobs sort of out here, and then there were a couple jobs that were like way out here. And one of the jobs that was in the most in demand is nursing. And so we said, okay, we're going to come have nursing classes in the city of Chula Vista because, the vast majority, if you can have a degree in nursing and have that experience, you're going to probably get a couple different job offers. It's such an in-demand position, and we don't see it decreasing anytime soon. So we're going to have nursing classes that are going to be there. We also have an agreement with the high school district to do basically university prep as well as university classes, similar to AP classes or classes that you can take in high school so you can get ahead, and when you get to college you can actually have some credit before that.
And are those classes going to be part of like obtaining a bachelor's degree, or it's more like a technical program?
So it's part of that. They're actually university classes. So if you're enrolled at San Diego State in the nursing program, and you live in Chula Vista, there will be a couple of classes that you can actually take in Chula Vista and get full credit for it, and that will be part of yeah. And this is part of the plan. I always call it sort of phase 1. Cal State San Marcos, when they started having these classes, and we call it drones, because they were in a drones building, the furniture store, and they would take classes there, and then from those classes it started allowing people to start taking classes. Then we have 35 acres of that 383 acres that we're going to start building classrooms, and we're hoping to have that as a Cal State extension, just like San Marcos did, and then potentially in the future have a Cal State Chula Vista. So that's the beginning of getting a 4-year university in the city of Chula Vista. Senior Center, Community Center, retiring after 38 years. Congratulations. 38 years and 10 months. I didn't forget the 10 months. Lived in East Lake, Chula Vista for 25 years. Paid taxes. The city of Chula Vista have a plan for a recreation center for a senior community center. Yeah, we're actually looking at that. That's a really good point. Has anybody been to the Norman Park Senior Center on the west side? Yeah. So the idea is that we would like to have one on the east side because we're a larger community. And we've been talking with one of the developers, and they've been talking because you can go down to Paddington, which is a senior level, our senior community. And we want to make sure that we have a senior center on the eastern side of the city as well. Next question. What can we do to about traffic in eastern Chula Vista, speeding, right-hand turn, not stopping signs? We'll go ahead and just I'll make a couple comments, and then if Lieutenant Reed wants to add some additional things. My wife and I, when we're on Otay Lakes and East Lake Parkway and some of the other places, it's always one of these things, and we sort of make it a fun thing, but unfortunately it's not safe. But we will be at a light. The light will turn green, and then we will always do this 1, 2, 3, because there'll be at least approximately 3 people that will run that red light. And so, you know, it's unfortunate because there are times when there is an accident because of that, or when it becomes a traffic jam. Because suddenly you have all these people are trying to go into Target, and then they are blocking us, so then when the light turns green, we're waiting for them to move over. But again, that is incumbent on getting additional traffic officers so we can have some more enforcement to make sure that that's happening. Lieutenant Reed, do you have any additional?
I think we covered most of that, I hope, earlier, but again, I would just encourage, report it on the ACT website. As if it's a chronic issue, report it there, and we'll get some of the signs to it and make sure it's not one missing. But, you know, there's just a limited capacity for where we can be all the time. We can't be anywhere all the time, but we'll get out there and work those sites as often as we can.
Yes. So, I do remember years ago that there was a bunch of colleges that did studies on this same thing, and I can tell you, every city runs into the same problem. But they did a study, and they found that if they added like 2 seconds to the yellow light, it reduced that considerably. I mean, it doesn't always have to just be, we need somebody watching everybody. I think we could, and you could probably even look at what some of the other cities have done to deal with this. I think that trying the 2 seconds on the yellow light might help.
Thank you. And I know somebody brought up on the red light cameras, things like that, because of some of the rulings at the Supreme Court and things like that, there are limitations on being able to do that. The issues of having videos tracking people, and then suddenly, because of a video, people are getting a ticket. There's some privacy and legal issues from the Supreme Court. So just wanted to tell you that. From Greg, who's in Elks Club. So, yeah, and if anybody who is talked about the senior facility, another great place is not a city facility, but the Elks Club is a great organization, and it's a great place to go if you are a senior. And even if you're not a senior, it's a great place. So, Mayor, what do you feel your biggest obstacle facing you in the second term growth plans? I think one of the big challenges is just the red tape and things like that. And one of the Sacramento has unfortunately many times come down and said, hey, we need all the cities to do the exact same thing. And I believe, and I think most councils in most cities would like more local control. And so what we're doing is we're running into a lot of these laws that Sacramento passes. Things like we all decided to move to Chula Vista because it's a great city, has a high quality of life, very safe city, and when you look at the communities, I think we had some really good planning, but there are issues like we have by one of the hospitals by Sharp Chula Vista going on Naples, which is an emergency area through Naples. You have ambulances, everything go there. The SB4 has basically said, hey, if you want to put in some housing and it's affordable housing and it's 3 stories, 76 units, whatever, you can do that right next to a single family neighborhood. Although the single family neighborhood was not designed to be able to handle that traffic, was not able to handle a lot of the planning. Normally, you want proper planning so that your roads, that your infrastructure can handle any high density thing. So I think there's going to be more issues like that. I also think how a homeless issue is a major issue. We fortunately with our homeless outreach team, which is a great combination in the city of Chula Vista, with our great police officers and our nonprofits, we've been able to decrease the number of homeless on our streets by 25%. So I think that's going to be a major issue, challenges in the future for the city as well. Next question, regarding rainwater canals. Pedro, where's Pedro? So explain your question. I know you've got a long thing here.
With the canals are on slopes. And to avoid erosion, I guess the city or the planning requires the developer to so that the water will along or not. But in some areas, the canals are filled already with the soil and debris, and the water begins to erode the slope. Where do we report that, or is there anything that the city does to prevent the erosion of the slopes where the canal was supposed to be done by turning the water across?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So the first thing you want to do is call the city for our open space department. Now, depending upon where the location is, many of the open spaces are not actually controlled by the city of Chula Vista. If it is, then they should go out and be able to help clean up those canals. If it isn't, though, they can make sure that whoever is in charge of those canals would be aware of that. And that potentially could be one of the homeowners associations or open space district, things like that. So it depends who actually owns that property and has the responsibility for maintaining that open space. Yeah, so after the meeting, come back and talk to my staff and we can give you the phone number. Yeah, because, and you're totally right. We're such a large city. We try to get everything maintained, and many times there are challenges because it may not be city property and it's not our responsibility to maintain it. It's somebody else's, but everybody starts forgetting about stuff. You got a culvert that, after 5-10 years is still fine, but then after 20 it starts getting built up, and the people who built it and the people who maintain it really don't even remember it. And my staff will help you out.
That is one of the characters. I mentioned the actual staff. It's not just law enforcement or police stuff. That is open space slopes is actually one of the categories for one of them.
Oh, yeah. Thank you for bringing.
But this is a residential area, so the canal is between lots.
Yeah, you would just have to, again, it depends on whether it's city owned or not, but you can report it there and they'll allow them to respond, whether it's city owned or not.
And the thing too also is code enforcement. Many times if there's something that is happening in the city, even though it's private property, if they're doing something that isn't, via code enforcement can be helpful to at least make them aware that, hey, you need to clean up those culverts and make sure that they are maintained properly. This is by Marla Fruit Food. Vendors are on corners throughout Chula Vista, and they have permits. Sometimes they are in places where people park on red zones to buy. Are they allowed to place their businesses anywhere? So really good question. This again goes back to Sacramento, basically saying that they're basically implementing laws that are affecting cities, and as I say, one size does not fit all. Like on housing, we want to have local control in Chula Vista because Chula Vista is a different community than Coronado, than Temecula, than El Cajon, than Marietta, and one is it's a different geography, it's a different community. And community members should be able to have control over what is going on in the city. You have some cities that want more density and the community wants more density, then they should be able to do that. You have some communities that would like to keep single-family neighborhoods and have it more of a family suburban atmosphere, and that's the reason why they moved there. And that's what we should be able to do. We shouldn't be dictated by Sacramento saying that one size fits all and every city has to be exactly the same as every other city. It just doesn't work that way. With the food vendors, Sacramento passed again some laws that have given a lot of leeway for these vendors to just go out on a sidewalk and be able to sell things. There are some restrictions that we still have. One is they cannot go ahead and impede the right-of-way. So if they are on a sidewalk, they can't be taking up all the sidewalk, so people cannot walk on the sidewalk. Obviously, they mentioned in being by a red zone, they should not be by a red zone or anything like that. They are required to have a food permit. They are required to have all that if they are selling food, health and safety. But it's become one of those things where many times they may not have a permit, and then how do you enforce it? And the county, sometimes you have to call the county to be able to get down, and by the time you contact the county and then they come down in the next two weeks, they may not be there anymore. So it's a very challenging thing. And understanding also, because what will happen is, how many people have been down to the 3rd Avenue and gone to a restaurant down 3rd Avenue? We are trying to increase our downtown, be able to have great restaurants down there. And unfortunately, what happens is you'll have a great restaurant that is paying for their lights, their infrastructure, their physical facility. You have to maintain a bathroom. And then you have somebody just roll up with a cart and want to sell tacos too, right? You got a great place to sell tacos. It's paying all this overhead to be able to have a brick and mortar store, and then you have somebody you go right in front of it. So I believe there need to be some more protections for stores that have invested in the community. And unfortunately, because they tend not to be priority issues, it's more of a civil matter. Many times it's very challenging to be able to get either our code enforcement or the county's code enforcement to be able to enforce those. Yes, Rob.
Is it correct that this is in front of the Planning Commission right now, and if people wanted to get their voices heard more, they could go down there and hear exactly what the Planning Commission is saying about this?
Yeah, and that's the thing is we are trying to make more restrictions, as well as there's a lot of food. People know food trucks, which is not exactly the same, but it's somewhat related. Where you'll have a food truck that will park right in front of a brick and mortar store, and it becomes very challenging. Obviously, we want to be able to support both food trucks and brick and mortar, but we're trying to be able to make sure that we can have like special events with food trucks, but they can't suddenly every night be parked in front of a brick and mortar restaurant competing directly, because we want to make sure that when people come to the city of Chula Vista or current small businesses are there competing, that they have the opportunity to do it, good competition. Yes?
On the same lines with yard sales, garage sales, I mean, people are selling out of their homes now. And it used to be you could have a yard sale maybe twice a month. But anyway, not so often, but now people are actually selling from their front yards every Saturday.
Yeah.
They have, competing with the businesses. So.
Yeah, and I know Lieutenant Reed was talking about Sacramento sort of allowing a lot of these things happen that may not be in the best benefit for everybody. You know, there's a reason why you live in a residential community, because you don't want to be by retail stores or commercial or industrial. And there's a reason why cities have those zonings, is to be able to protect those neighborhoods. You don't want your neighbor to suddenly, be doing industrial things at his house or her house because of the noise and the pollution and things like that.
So do we report people like that, or has the code changed, or has it become lax, or I mean?
Things have unfortunately become a lot more lax, but I would use the app to do a code enforcement. Yes. Yes, it's very, very, very challenging to do, because we obviously, as the city of Chula Vista, we don't want to do all this work and then suddenly say it doesn't follow state law. State law has, majority of times has precedence. So we could say, hey, we're going to not allow any food vendors on sidewalks anymore, and then the state law would say, that gets struck down at the city because state law supersedes what we've done in the city.
But all of that is harder to put in the petition for that rule. I give it to all research in the state to allow it, and working to come up with something.
Yeah, and that's what Robert was saying. Our city has been working with the Downtown Business Association and other small businesses to see what we can legally do, because like food trucks, we want our brick and mortar restaurants to be able to survive, but we want to make sure that we give an outlet for food trucks so they can be successful. Maybe we zone an area specifically for food trucks areas, as well as we have certain maybe on Thursday nights, it's food truck night in downtown Chula Vista, and then it gives other people a reason to come down to downtown Chula Vista, but they aren't there competing every night, because then you'll come down on Thursday and then saying, hey, maybe I can come down tomorrow night or on Saturday again, and make sure that they have a positive experience. Okay, that's all the questions. Yes?
Yeah, well, I just want to say I appreciate you thinking that way, because sometimes I do have random people that try to sell like candy in front of like in my parking lot, and obviously, I pay legitimate taxes, right, and I pay my rent, pay all of those costs for running the business, and to see somebody, and I understand the hustle, I understand, these people, they got money, I understand that, but like I say, me and my family, we were working and we were paying these taxes. We have a group of people. Again, I understand the hustle, but I've had to go outside and tell them, like, hey, I need you guys to, take off. And thankfully, they've understood. But I do want to say I appreciate you thinking like that, because I believe that we can all, live amongst each other, but at the same time, we do need to protect the brick and mortar stores, right? Because they're all the ones that are paying taxes, legitimate taxes. So I just want to say I appreciate you this way, and hopefully we can continue finding a solution.
Yeah.
I just want to add to what you're saying, and I want to say thank you for running again for our mayor, because you're proactive, you're taking the time.
Well, thank you guys for coming out. This is a team effort. The best thing that I do is listen to you. You're so many of the ideas that we were able to be successful at are because you come out and you tell us what the issues are so we can resolve them. But not only issues, you come out with these great ideas on how we can get better. And I really think Chula Vista is one of the best, obviously I'm biased, but it's one of the best cities in the state of California. And we're a large city now, but we still have that hometown feel. And we just want to continue to work together collaboratively and be able to look out after our neighbors. Lieutenant Reed, do you have anything else?
I mean, the food vendors, we absolutely share frustration. The state changed the laws, and it's affecting us everywhere. They've made it almost impossible to enforce any of it. Pretty much limited to pushing them off private property, and that's about all we can do. But if you come to a concert lately, you'll see the hot dog vendors out there every night, and it's everywhere.
Yeah, speaking of the Padre game, if anybody ever goes to the Padre game, we have half season tickets, and obviously most of the time it's my kids that go. I use the tickets, but when we go, when you walk out at Petco Park after the game, everybody's got you can definitely buy food and everything. Okay.
I just wanted to say thank you to the Chula Vista Police Department for making this one a safe city.
Okay, I'm going to be hanging out for if you want to. I know there are a couple of things that we can help there, but really appreciate everybody being here. If you have any questions in the future or if you need help, I'm available, so please contact me and we will assist you. Thank you very much.
Just wanted to let you know real quick, Jose Preciado, he goes to a wastewater meeting, and it's the wastewater JPA with the city of San Diego, and they talk about exactly what you were talking about with the wastewater stuff. And they're working on a couple of projects called Pure Water, and I think it's relevant to your comment, but I think I need support everywhere else to talk about these things, but if you're into that, I definitely would encourage you to reach out to Jose Preciado. He's the council member for the city as well, right? He's District 2.
Yeah, I used to work in Mexicali.
Okay.
I used to work for the water department.
Yeah.
So we build a lot of small plants for the universities or parks that they can reuse the water for.
Yeah, no, I completely agree, yeah.
Also, I know I visited a plant in Tijuana. They have around half of the gallons per minute that we have in Chula Vista, and they're using UV, so it's quicker, it's not that smelly like the other plants, so there are options.
Yeah. And I cover so many things. I'm not an expert, and if that's what you're interested in, I want to get you to the right, Jose Preciado. And he's a council member, and the commission you're going to be wanting to asking him about is the wastewater JPL. They just had a meeting 2 days ago, and I live streamed it. If you want, you could write down Chula Vista live data across social media, and you can find my account and look for the live stream.
Chula Vista live data?
Live data, that's it. And it's .com if you go to the website. Sometimes you gotta put www. Yeah. So, but I appreciate what you're saying, and I'm, I have a lot of information. I just gotta get to the right person. So.
Thank you.
And my name's Robert.
Nice
to meet you. Pleasure.
Actually, I'm saying mom.
Yeah.
my son. But there are a lot of things that I see. We used to look up to San Diego to do most of the water things there.
Yeah.
And when I came here to live here, I start seeing like they're not implementing the things that we used. And it was like a waste of all of the knowledge and the technology that they have.
Right. Yeah, they got the contract agreement between them is called Sarah, and so they're in the middle of rewriting it, which gives Chula Vista more say. But until it's passed, we don't have as much, like he was saying.
And we can have find programs that help developing cities.
Yeah.
So it's not all the money Chula Vista.
No, yeah, it was San Diego and everybody.
Even federal.
Yeah.
Like
that's where they get a lot of their funding.
What is going on in Pearl Beach? It is affecting at least at the southwestern part of Chula Vista.
Right.
They're nice, so we cannot have all the doors open because it's the smell. So they helping federal aid is sending there. They're spending all the money just in meetings and not doing nothing there.
Well, they send all of our wastewater up to Point Loma. So it's not like it's a local treatment plant like even the one south of us. They send it all the way to Point Loma, and we have a diversionary pipe, all this, infrastructure.
Pumping stations.
Right.
The maintenance of the lines,
right.
Everything is costly.
Exactly.
So that's what I was asking. Do you have comparing prices?
Yep. No, that's why I say go to them. Okay. They're going to have all that information. And then we, as a community, can tell our council members and mayor, we want to know more about this. I don't think they tell us enough.
Give an idea.
I know.
Like they're not thinking.
Right.
This is that we used to do. Maybe having. Your name again?
Robert.
Okay.
Pleasure. Yours one more time?
Edith.
It's nice to meet you. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, everybody. So you heard it here. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Come down to an event like this. It's a great way to get your voice heard. We got the Chula Vista Police Department here. You can come and speak with the mayor. Try to get your questions heard. If not, you can always reach out to their office, email them, and I know they'll get right back with you. So this is at Spring Hill. I gotta look up the name one more time. I think it's Spring Hill. Is that right?
Spring Hill Street, yep.
Spring Hill. All right. Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, so Spring Hill Suites here in Eastlake, and yeah, we just wanted to thank them for hosting this event. And I'll go ahead and walk you guys out to the front, and we'll see what it looks like. So they got a little front lobby, a little bar area over here. They got a pool in the back. So come down, check out them. It's actually a really nice place. and then we'll show you the entrance here. So we got a CVBD. What's good? How you doing?
Been a while, huh?
Yeah, you know. So there you go. There's the front of the building. Where'd he park? All the way over there? Computer down. Oh, who left their computer up? 218. Why are you leaving your computer up? 218. So anyways, yeah, this was Coffee with the Mayor, and we just want to thank the Sweets again for having us, and the mayor for holding an event like this. And yeah, check out our wastewater meeting from the other day. We got them on a Brown Act violation for requiring signatures to attend a public meeting. We had 3 notices for 3 different San Diego meetings that weren't posted, and so those are also Brown Act violations. I shut down the San Diego Community Power meeting this week because they didn't have Brown Act stuff completed. I mean, 5 Brown Act violations from all the city this week, and you think your city's being run right. Well, we're here to prove it's not. So appreciate you guys for tuning in. Check out San Diego Live Data and Chula Vista Live Data. Appreciate you guys for checking it out today. We'll catch you later.